What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Fender here. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of the amplifier. You might have noticed in my channel I started doing some videos in Spanish. That's because I suddenly started having like an influx of Spanish-speaking, subscribers, and I decided to test, a little bit in the channel. What would happen if I started doing videos, some videos in English and some videos in Spanish? The idea initially would be to replicate those, videos for, everybody. So a couple of days ago, I made a video about the importance of the amp. You might have seen something similar in my channel already. And in my usual responses when you guys ask me questions. And long story short, I firmly believe that the amplifier is the most important part of the whole rig. We guitar players tend to get lost in like very deep rabbit holes, guitars, strings, pickups, potentiometers, pedals, cables, and all sorts of, ridiculous things that, they aren't ridiculous for us and for the whole, construction of the tone, right? But it is ridiculous. It becomes ridiculous at some point because we start like swapping, 15 different sets of pickups in the guitar, changing the saddles, changing the springs, buying 15 different tube screamer clones, and they all do the same. And ultimately, we are missing the point that the most important part is the amp. Maybe we are not satisfied with the final tone, and it's not because of the pedals, the strings, the pickups, there's, little details. The problem is that maybe we're playing the wrong amp, I've even had people, ask me questions about boutique pickups for their custom shop instruments, telling me that they were playing through a $200 Line 6 Spider, and I'm not gonna get into that debate, and I'm not here to bash anybody's gear, but the thing is that if you can, that was the AC, oh my god. The thing is that if you can afford custom shop guitar, then it's not that you are buying a Line 6 Spider because you can't afford a better amp, right? But this person was telling me, no, the Line 6 Spider, it's a modeling amp, and it just sounds exactly like the originals, and that's just ridiculous. I'm not gonna get into that, but you can find, I think it's some of the episodes that I did speaking about the importance of the amplifier, and I even have screenshots there. It's, to me, it's serious. It's serious that this person was not understanding the importance of the amplifier, right? So here we are, and what I want to talk about is especially, not only the amp, but especially the speaker, right? The speaker is the mod that you can, it's absolutely reversible mod, that you can do to an amp and transform it, I know a lot of people are fans of tubes and stuff like that, and everybody, has their obsessions. A lot of people get obsessed with tubes, NOS tubes, whatever, and they swear by them. Not too long ago, somebody reached out when I had my Turok Traditional Clean, which I don't have anymore, and somebody reached out and said that they've watched a video or something, and it sounded great. So I was flattered, of course, but the guy was asking me, what tubes do you have in that amp? And I had no idea, honestly. So I had to go and look, right? And it turned out that the amp had JJ tubes, which are, I think, must be some of the most affordable tubes. I really don't know very much, but I think they must be some of the most affordable tubes. And that's the way the amplifier came from the factory, from the Turok factory. And I just didn't care, my tone was good for me. I liked it, I felt comfortable. So, and this person was surprised that the amp sounded that good, given that it had JJ tubes. And I'm like, of course, I didn't say anything because I'm not gonna get into that debate, but and I don't want to be rude. But I mean, the amplifier sounds good because it's a great amp, and because I mean, what I was playing and the tone that I took years to build, you know, and to study my gear and my playing and everything, sounded great. And I'm flattered, and I love that this person liked what I was playing. But it was like he was attributing the great tone. I'm sorry, he was surprised that the amplifier was producing such a great tone, given that it had cheap tubes. You know, that's crazy, if you ask me. But anyway, there's, you know, to each their own. And you know that in all of my videos, I do use the Universal Audio aux. I record with it, and I've been using this tool for years because it gives me great consistency, you know, great consistent tone, given that, you know, I live in a house and I just can't be, you know, miking up my amp and cranking it to where it sounds the way I like, you know. Unfortunately, these things, as we know, if we want, you know, optimal tone, we need to push them, right? And at least I like to do that. So the aux is the tool that allowed me to do that, you know? So I've been using it for years, and I believe it's a very realistic tool. I've recorded an album with it, you know, and the producer or the mixing engineer, I don't know, he just couldn't believe how good it sounded. So what I want to do now is I want to play a lick, and we'll hear like 3 different speaker cabinets with different types of speakers, and I'll tell you what it is, and then I'm going to play a loop, and so that I'm able to change between those faster. And you'll hear it's just the same amp. I'm playing my 2-Row Classic Reverb, and it's just the same amp, and you'll see changing the speaker cabinet how much the tone changes, you know. And it's sometimes it can be drastic, you know, much more than anything else, you know, the tone capacitors, the tubes, whatever rabbit hole that we might get lost in, you know, the speaker is the most drastic change you can make to an amp. Everything that you throw at it, you know, anything that you play and anything that you plug in before it, anything you have, will go through the amp and come out of the speaker, you know. So the first thing you have to do as a guitar player when you're, you know, studying your tone and building the tone you like is finding the appropriate amp for you, you know, an amp that you feel it's like an extension of you. When you play, you know, you feel absolutely at home with the amp, you know. So let's hear. This is the one I use the most, and it's a 2x12 speaker cabinet. Fender style, I believe it says Alnico Speakers, so I guess it would be one of those oversized Fender cabinets with Janssens, right? Now we're gonna hear, this one is like a Marshall style 4x12 cabinet with Celestion V30s. You can tell the difference immediately. And then the third one is the emulation of this one, the 2-Row 2x12. But as you know, as far as the description goes, it has Celestion G12-65s. Those are the speakers. you can hear the difference, and it's very clear, at least to me here. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna play a little loop, you know, and I'm gonna go back and forth between the speaker cabinets so that you can hear the difference, you know, in real time and faster. So there you go, guys. It's the same amplifier through, you know, different speakers. The difference is clear, you know, how much it can change the personality of the amp. So that's my message for today. Find the best amp you can for your playing style and pair it with the appropriate speaker, you know? Thank you, guys. See you next time.